Hey guys, what's up? It's Christine Seal, the high level queen, and I am super excited because I have an amazing guest here who's going to share how he scaled basically to the moon within 6 months, went from dodging bullets to seven figures in 6 months. And I'm super excited to have him here today. What's up, Plus Jeff?
Hey, what's going on? I'm so excited to be on the show, first and foremost. You
Well,
know,
I'm excited to have you here. Thanks
and
so much.
what I got to do to get a setup like yours, with the fancy, you got crazy custom lights back there or what?
Yeah. You got to talk to Icon. He's your man.
Okay, Icon, I'm gonna hit you up, man.
So I think everyone was super interested in this. You have an amazing story, Jeff, and I know we go way back a couple years back when we were both broke.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you telling me some pretty amazing stories about, getting shot up and surviving, and now you're thriving. So if you just want to kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go back a little further than that, so you can kind of like know what I've been through a little bit. If you have questions, let me know. If I'm talking too fast, tell me to slow down. So real quick again, first off, my name is Jeff Lopez. I go by plus Jeff. First, I really appreciate you having me again. I can't thank you enough. And we do go way back. Like I remember meeting with Christine at a little coffee shop in our hometown, and like she was just getting started. I think I had like 2 or 3 clients, and I'm like, watch, I'm about to blow this up. And then I did, and then she blew up too. So it's just really cool to like see how far we've come in such a short time. But my entrepreneur journey like started probably like 10 years ago. I started a few businesses, cell phone repair, cell phone accessories in malls in Texas. I had stores in Florida, I had stores in Washington. Made millions, not saying that to brag, just we did very well. And this was really like before the times of social media. And I helped grow some pretty big businesses, again, just using like strategic partnerships and stuff. Long story short, got tired of being spread out so thin. That's probably a big mistake on my part. Got tired of the retail game, got out of it, became a rapper. And this is kind of where like it turns into the streets and getting shot at. So I'm getting into that a little bit, but became a rapper, severely underestimated, how to make money as an artist. But I started hanging out with, like some of the big dogs in the music game in Houston, like Slim Thug, Bun B, Zero, pretty much all these, if you're into the hip hop world, I'm hanging out with them. I'm going to the clubs with them. I'm getting sections with them, popping bottles and doing all this stuff like rappers are, doing or like living in their videos and stuff like that. We're actually doing it. And of course, I'm blowing through a bunch of money because they're getting money. I'm not making money and I'm just trying to keep up. But long story short, went broke, literally got evicted from my high rise, like luxury condo in Houston, was homeless for a point in time where I was sleeping in a car in a Walmart parking lot, which, I really don't like to talk about that too much, but it turned into like, me wanting to rap to where now I have to actually move into like audio engineering to make money and like really like to, get my life back together thing. So long story short, I started engineering at a professional level, just out of necessity. Like I had to, because I had those connections though, I was able to, I had stuff debut on Drake's radio station, OVO Sound. I've worked with pretty much every big name in the hip hop, game, Travis Scott, Lil Baby, Young Dolph, Money Man, like a whole bunch of names. And again, still just did not know how to make a lot of money doing this. And there was 3 separate occasions. Like my studio is in the hood of Houston, is in 3rd Ward. If you guys know where 3rd Ward in Houston is, it's not the greatest part of town, but shout out to 3rd Ward. I got a lot of love for 3rd Ward. But there's about 3 different occasions where like our studio, it got shot up. Like one, drive by one day, another crazy thing happened. But the last time, like I'm like painting the front room of the studio, making it a green screen room to shoot like videos and photos. And a bullet comes through the wall about 6 inches away from me. And I'm like, holy crap, what was that? I jumped down and, somebody had like got shot like right outside the studio. This is like 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. Like it's just crazy. And like I made a decision that day that like, it wasn't worth risking my life. I had to figure out something else. And that's when I started to Google like that night. I'm like, how to make money online. Like I didn't want to go back to the retail business. I got tired of that. Of course, wasn't going to, just end up being wrong place, wrong time in this music stuff. So, I started to learn about agencies through Dan Henry and running ads for like, businesses online. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I see you pop back on there. Do you have questions?
No.
Okay.
I switched it up to make it more visually interesting for people.
Oh yeah, you're doing a thing. So, but anyway, so like, you know, I got found with Dan Henry's crazy ad budget. You know, he's talking about, I think at this time it was like Facebook ads for entrepreneurs. And of course, like coming from like a business background, like I saw like the necessity of that. Cause like, I know how hard it was for me to build a business. And this was like before the times of Facebook ads, before social media was really like, you know, a driver of business. So I'm like, man, I understand this concept. You know, I can speak the lingo of business owners because I've been there. Like I've been a high earning business owner before. So I'm like, this will be easy. Like he's talking about these guys making 10,000 a month, 30,000 a month. I'm like, that's baby money. Like if they can do that, like I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna blow it up. However, you know, I'm just severely optimistic. Like if I look at somebody and they're doing something, I'm like, I can do that. I could probably do it better. Like that's just like, I guess the arrogant part of me. But I got in this game and like it was not like that at all. Like I tried everything. I was doing the cold emailing thing. I was doing cold calling, which was horrible. I even like, you know, saved up some money to get like a nice button up shirt and slacks and like a leather binder and business cards, and was walking in like door to door, like every chiropractor in Houston, every restaurant that I thought, you know, I could run ads for, gyms, pretty much everywhere in Houston. And like, people were, you know, cursing me out, like, oh, get out of here, no soliciting, all this crazy stuff. And like, I just really got nowhere with it. And like it broke me down, like, because I'm like, here I am, I'm literally trying to get out of like this music industry, like risking my life. Like I said, I knew I was going to end up being like another story on the news or wrong place, wrong time. So I'm like, you know, kind of in a race with the clock, like trying to do as much as I need to, but as little as I can in the music stuff and really try to make this transition. And I just couldn't do it. So I finally had to move back in with my grandparents in the Midwest just to get out of there. Cause like I said, I just didn't want to end up on the news. Move back into, you know, my grandparents' basement in Kansas. And like my dad had just got out of prison. So, you know, he's sleeping down there too. And it's not a nice house. Like it's like one big room. There's like a, you know, bed over there. My dad's like snoring when he's sleeping. I'm sleeping on this uncomfortable ass couch, like waking up with back problems. Like, and no joke, I'm not even exaggerating. Like it was rough. And then to top it all off, like my mom, you know, she works for the state. So, you know, she, you know, shout out my mom, I love my mom, but she works for the state. She don't make like a whole lot of money. And, you know, she was giving me like $20 every few days. So like I had to stretch that. And I'm like living off gas station food. Like I'm talking taquitos and egg rolls and hot dogs, like every damn day. So again, and just to kind of like sum it up, like I went from literally making millions, living the life, not having to worry about anything, to like broke, getting shot at. Now I'm back, like sleeping on the couch, eating gas station food every day. So like it was like a big motivator to me to really get things going. So I started prospecting in some new ways, but got my first client, and like he didn't know he's my only client, but I closed this client on my third sales call. Like I finally got some sales calls. First one I horribly butchered. Like I had no clue what I was talking about. They asked some questions that stumped me. So of course I didn't get the sale. Second one was a little better, but still, you know, you could tell I wasn't prepared for it. Third one, I ditched the scripts. You know, I just kind of like have a conversation with this guy, close the client, and like happiest moment of my life is like, you know, well, he asked me, you know, hey, how do I get started? And I tell him I'm sending him an invoice. He's like, okay, you know, I'll take care of it today. And of course, everybody always says that, but then that invoice came back that night or next morning. Yeah, it's next morning. And like, I literally cried, like no joke. Like I cried because it was like so hard to get a client, and like I finally did. And it was like, you know, that meant I didn't have to take money from my mom again. Like I was on like, you know, this little path to like getting my life back together. But I like, you know, like I said, I cried, I'm like excited, but then like immediately just like, oh my God, like I've never even run a Facebook ad campaign before in my life. Like, and like, this is a chiropractor and you want me to run ads for laser lipo or body contouring. I didn't even know what the hell that was. Like, but I was like, yep, we can do that. We can do that.
That's one of the hardest. That's like one of the hardest niches to crack too.
Oh, we cracked it though. So
I know. So I think like, and guys, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. And I think we're going to do, do you want to answer them as they come in or kind of at the end?
Whatever's easier for you. So, I mean, I don't think I can see the comments, so you just let me know. I can answer them, but I'll stay on task pretty well.
I can pull them in if they're relevant to what we're talking about. And if not, we'll just get them at the end.
Perfect.
But I think everyone wants to know, Jeff, like, how did you make so much freaking money so fast with like, I mean, seriously, without selling anybody, how'd you make $31,000 in a week?
Okay, good question. So this actually is like perfect point of the story. So I got that first client, and like I said, he didn't know he was my first client. And what that meant to me was, like I said, I didn't have to take money from my mom. Like I think my car was literally about to get repossessed like in 3 days, like if I didn't like catch it up. So like it came in like perfect time. But because he was my only client, like I was checking in with him day by day by day, and like, hey, you got like 6 leads, you know, how's it going? Da, 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 da. And like he's telling me all like the things that are good and the things that are bad. So like we just really refined this system like within 30 days, because like it was not an option to drop this client. Like I said, he didn't know he was my only client, but it wasn't an option for this client to not renew. So like I'm doing everything I can. Like I'll show up at these people's door and bring them to the damn you know, place if I need to, just to make sure that they're going to show up and, you know, make sure my client renews. But long story short, like we built this system and it's working really well. And I did what any good, I guess, business owner or agency owner should do. And it's like, ask your clients for referrals. But I did it in a specific way. Like, again, you know, I want to stroke his ego a little bit. And I'm like, hey, like, I really love how you operate. Do you know anybody else that operates like you? Because I want to work with more clients like you. You know, I've worked with other people before, but I like working with you. And so that automatically just kind of put him in a frame of mind that like he wants to give me the cream of the crop. So he sends me another client, and he calls me and he's like, hey, I got somebody for you, you know, call them, you know, they're ready to sign up. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it's gonna be a sales call. So I call this guy. He's like, oh no, yeah, he told me all about you. You know what I got to do to get started. And I'm like, literally, it's 2-3 minute conversation. And, you know, I sent him an invoice. He pays it like almost instantly. And I'm just like, what was that? Like that was like, I didn't have to sell him. He didn't ask any questions. So I'm like, you know, that was like my first little like kind of epiphany. It was like, wow, like this guy is like, I guess he holds that much clout. So again, I'm like, hey, well, who else do you know? Like, you know, hey, I'm gonna send you some money I appreciate you sending me that business. I'm gonna send you some money. Like, who else do you know? And then he sends me another one. Same thing. Like I get on this phone and like, it's literally like a 3 to 5 minute conversation. They ask like no questions. Like there's no vetting. Like, you know, I'm like, they don't know I only have one client. I was just fearing they were going to ask for like, oh, send me some case studies or testimonials. Like everybody teaches you that everybody wants, but like they didn't. And I close them. So then after that, I'm like, oh, man, you know, keep them coming. He's like, oh, I got an event, that I'm doing in Nashville, like next week. And I was like, shit, I'm booking that ticket. Like, like I booked the ticket in Nashville. He's like, you can speak there if you want. And I'm getting to where I close the 31,000 in a week. But I get out there and I'm like freaking out because like they want me to do a presentation. They're like, don't sell anybody like anything. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you want me to talk about? They're like, why don't you talk about what to look for when hiring a digital marketing company? And I'm like, again, they don't know they're my like first 2 or 3 clients. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know what to look for. Like, I'm barely like getting my feet wet in this game. Like, I don't know what you should look for. Like look for me. Like, that's the only thing I had to say. But anyways, like I'm freaking out, stressing out. Like they're thinking I had this presentation ready. Like it comes day of, and I'm like, yo, like I really don't know what to talk about. I was like, tell you what, if you guys help me with this presentation, like I'll pay you guys for each person that likes, you know, helps me or that signs up. And like as soon as they heard that I'm gonna pay you, man, they was in there like helping me craft these slides. And like I get this thing done probably 30 minutes before like I go on stage and start talking. And you know, I'm talking like I'm nervous because like these are all like hiring doctors, like, and I'm just some dude sleeping on a damn couch in my grandparents' basement. Right. They don't know that, but like that's the mindset I had. But I go up there, I start talking about stuff I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'll just listen to them and like, you know, what they don't like, and I'm just putting that in my presentation, hoping this thing's gonna be good. But then like, you know, I'm looking around the faces in the audience, and you know, they're like, oh, okay. And then I see like they're really like getting some stuff out of what I'm talking about. But then like, you know, I'm looking at my clients, and I'm like, yo, and then like, I guess they got that cue is like, I don't know what else to talk about. One of them comes up, he's like, hey, real quick, you know, all that stuff you're talking about is great, but I just want to show you guys like, you know, what Jeff's been able to do. And like, he's like, he pulled up my stats, and we pulled up his stats. And like, fortunately I'd got him like 120 leads and like 30 booked appointments in like 2 weeks. And like, he shows that, and like, everybody's like jaws just dropped. They're like, what, you know, holy stuff. And he's like, yeah, so if you guys, you know, he told you what to look for, you know, I told him to make sure he wasn't coming in here selling you guys, but I just wanted to, you know, kind of show you what we're dealing with him. We've only been working with him 2 weeks. And I had like, you know, like Russell Brunson, if you guys are following ClickFunnels or Russell Brunson, how he talks about that stage rush when he gets off stage. I mean, that's what happened to me. Like at that event, like people were coming up like, hey, you know, can you do this for this? Can you do this for this? And I'm like, holy crap. Okay. Like, you know, getting a little overwhelmed. I'm just looking at them like, and they're smiling. They're like, So I'm like, okay, cool. And I closed like 3 people there. I made like 10 grand that day, which was cool. But then after that, it was the next week. Like I'm like just going about my business, but I guess my 2 clients had been following up with these guys, and like I just get calls coming in left and right, like, hey, you know, I saw you at the da. You know, what I got to do to sign up? Hey, what do I got to do to sign up? And I'm like sending out invoices left and right, and like these things come back collected, and like I remember like it was like a Friday, and I looked at like my Square account, and like I made $31,000 in a week. Like I didn't even know. Like it was so busy, like I didn't even know, and like I was just like mind blown. Like it's like to make $31,000 in a month, like where I was at, like to make $31,000 in a year would have been like cool, like because I was so down bad, and then to make that in a month would have been extravagant. But to make that in a week, like like do you know what that does to your mind? Like it just shows you like what is possible. But I didn't have to do any selling whatsoever. Like so, like that title is, I mean, they were doing it all for me, and it's like alley-ooping. They just alley-ooping. I'm like up here dunking the ball. No selling whatsoever. I didn't have to tell them who I was. Like they just had a phone number and my first name. Like they didn't ask me anything else. They didn't care about the company, nothing. Like it was crazy. So like I just kind of kept taking that and running with it. So and cut me off. I'm talking too fast. I get a little excited reliving this, but
no, it's okay. It's okay. I have a quick question for you though. So I know there's a lot of people watching who may just be starting as well and are really fascinated by your story. But I just wanted to make sure when you started working with this first doctor, the reason why he was so happy to refer you was because you're getting him really good results, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just magic like, oh, I'll pay you money, just refer me. Like you were getting amazing results for this guy, like life-changing. And then he eventually retired, right?
Oh yeah, we retired him, which was really cool. Like, I mean, I think it was funny because like when he sent me that second person, they signed up, they paid. I think I left this out of the story, but he made a comment. He's like, man, he's like, I can do this all day. This is the easiest money I ever made. And I'm like, shit, I can pay you all day. Let's go. Like, send me more. I was like, you send me 10, I got $10,000 for you right now. You know, I'm just talking like, you know, talking his big talk. But he delivered. Like he kept finding more people, and it just made it so easy. And just so you know, like I wasn't getting like life-changing results with him at first. I was getting, I would call them average results, because like my system wasn't even like that great for probably 6 months. Like it was like Jeff Miller's old, you know, click send, Zapier, send a couple texts, like just basic. But the thing that was different about me that he hadn't experienced before was, one, I listened to all his complaints on the phone about like all the other digital marketing companies that burnt him. So I took everything he hated and I made sure that we were different. So I sold him on like us and our personality. And then me following up with him so much, like through the thick, through the thin, the good and the bad, he just saw my persistence, and he saw that I was like a, you know, do what it takes type of person. So like even the first month, I mean, he probably made like $4,000 or $5,000. So he made money off of us, but it wasn't like crazy, amazing results. He just loved that, you know, we would do what it took, and we stayed in good communication. So that's why he was happy to refer me, was, you know, we were just, you know, good operating business, and, you know, just kind of stood behind our product type of thing. But like I said, we did that 31,000 in a week. You know, I of course wrote him a pretty big check. I mean, it was probably like $5-6 grand, because I'm paying him about 20% commission. And I'm like, you know, hey, how do we let's take this to the next level? Like, you know, and like by that time I had a lot of clients. A few of them it didn't work out for, because they were using different technology types. But then I realized like there's a technology type that I was getting great results for, and I'm like, yo, how do we find more people that have this? And that's when we had this idea, like, you know, where did you get this thing from? Like the company is like, no, there's like this, you know, medical supplier. And I'm like, you have a contact? Like, and we start utilizing these different contacts that he had. They sent out an email. This is another email, maybe another $30,000 in a week. They sent out an email saying, hey, this guy's getting great results, you know, for this type of device. Plus, and because I was working with my, I call them power partners. That's my secret sauce. But like my first client, I turned him in with what I call a power partner. So he was pretty much like the face of my company at that point. Cause like I said, if he warmed them up, they called me. It was just like to get set up. And in the email that they sent out, they're like, you know, plus these guys know the business. They have their own clinic with their own device. And like my phone just blew up. Like people were calling left and right, because like, one, you know, they considered us in the trenches with them. So we understood what they wanted, what they needed, what made it work. So we're closing people left and right. what's crazy is the next time they sent out an email, like a month or two later, August, first $100,000 month. I did $102,000 in a single month because they had sent out an email about us. And again, literally like no selling. Like, I don't think, maybe one of those was like it felt like a sales call, but most of them are like, hey, just got the email. They heard you guys are great. How do I get started? How do I set this up? People were signing up multiple locations at once. Did $102,000 in a single month. And again, like without your typical sales process, I never had testimonials or case studies or any of this like malarkey. I don't know. I just had to throw that word in there, but none of this BS that that everybody like tells you that you have to have. And we were crushing it. Like it was like I had to hire people. It just got really crazy, really fast. Did that answer your question? Sorry, I feel like I got a little off topic there.
Yeah. And you did. Actually, someone asked, what did you actually do for the client? I don't think we really talked about that. I mean, you briefly mentioned it, but.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was offering was typical agency services. So, running Facebook ads, and that's it. Like I was running Facebook ads for the clients and generating new specifically body contouring patients. So like we specialize in, body contouring, laser lipo, red light therapy, those types of things. So we were running ads on, and at this time it was only Facebook, getting, leads, following up with the leads, getting them to book appointments, and then getting people in there to buy bigger packages.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys switched to prepaid, right?
Yeah. So in doing all this again, like, man, when I went like broke, and like I said, after making like all that money, like going broke, it was like I had to do any and everything that I could to like make sure I kept all these clients. So like, people were telling me about all these other companies out there, what they didn't like, and then with my first client, we were really refining the system. Like at first it was like, oh, I'm getting leads, but none of them are answering the phone. Like, I'm like, okay, well, let's see if we can just get them to schedule online. Then we were getting them to schedule, just like calendar embed. And then they were scheduling, but then they weren't showing up. So it's like, okay, let's make these fools pay a deposit before they come in. Cause I know if they pay, they're going to show up. We put that in place. They start paying, they start showing up. So then we just like had this idea, like, let's just see if they'll just pay the full amount. And we really built this system. They started paying the full amount. So we're actually collecting the front end up front. People are showing up. And that was like huge because we were generating anywhere from 15 to 30 on average prepaid appointments. So that's pretty much knocking out their marketing bill with us. I mean, we were charging like $3,000 at the time. And that's like pretty much knocking out their marketing budget on the front end. So like everything else is like profit for them. So that's what made it really enticing for us. Because we were different. Like everybody else was selling 30 customer opportunities, 60 customer opportunities, but we just positioned ourselves differently. And even in other industries we go into and we don't do prepaids, we're not selling leads. We're selling, booked cryotherapy clients or booked cryotherapy appointments or new gym members. And it just really made us stand out. So Facebook ads, but making it sound a whole lot better than just your typical digital marketing agency.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Cool. Yeah, guys, I've had the pleasure of hearing Jeff close some deals before, whether he's driving or having a coffee. And I was always amazed at how he could just take the call and like 5 minutes later he had the money. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy. Okay, well, very cool, guys. Keep your questions coming. I'm going to go ahead and ask now about your OCT method that any newbie or veteran can use to close anybody. That literally 100x your close ratio. What is that about?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we have like the dip method. If you hear Josh Centers talk about the dip method, we do that. It's called Discover, Identify, Position. We kind of took a little further and like really just kind of figuring out what makes us retain these clients so well, and then also get us like a lot of referrals. So I came up with this term called the OCT method, and really it's just like creating an offer that's so good, like your clients or your prospects can't ignore it, and anybody can do this. And let me just kind of give you an example. So and Josh probably gonna kill me for giving this example because this is like some secret sauce of ours, but so we're in a pretty saturated market right now. Like when I came in, I was a nobody. In 6 months, I was everybody. Like we were crushing the competition. We were the biggest like in our industry by far. But with that, there's a lot of people with eyes on you now. Like when you become, so big, everybody's watching what you're doing. They're trying to get a piece of the pie. And typically they're going to knock you off and then try to offer your stuff for a lower price. And at first, the first like 5 times that happened was very frustrating. I'm calling my lawyers like, man, I want these guys homeless. Like, I'm trying to go at their heads. But I realized like, that's just the name of the game. Like when you're at the top, like when you set the wave, everybody's going to ride the wave. So we understand that. And what happened is we started getting to the point where like we come out with something, somebody else will come out with it. And there was even times where like other companies are like, oh, we can do everything Plus Plus does, but it's cheaper. And like, so, we lost a little bit of business, but our customer service is phenomenal. So we didn't lose a whole lot of clients, but every time somebody came out and tried to copy us, we would just reinvent ourselves and we come out with a new program. And again, like, what they're pitching, we're making sure like we come out with something even better. We reinvent ourselves about once a month. Sometimes we can get 60 to 90 days, but typically it comes down about once a month when everything's getting like real competitive. And we got really good at recreating ourselves, like the offer. So let me give you an example. Like when I was first selling clients, I'm doing these sales calls and basically just saying, hey, what's going on? Talking to them. And they're telling me like, oh, I've been burnt by digital marketing companies before. They're like, and I'm like, what do you mean burnt? Like, explain that to me. And this is real good. Like always ask questions, like, cause if you guys don't close somebody on your sales call, make it very educational for yourselves. And I guarantee you by the third one, you're going to start closing like crazy, but ask them like questions to understand what they mean. They said, I've been burnt. What does that mean? Oh, well, I get a bunch of leads, but leads don't pay the bills. So like, I'm like, okay, leads don't pay the bills. I'm writing this stuff down. I'm like, okay, what else don't you like? Like, oh, they're low quality. I'm like, what do you mean low quality? Like, they're like low quality, like, they're coming from an hour and a half. Like, there's no way they're going to come back for continued treatment. And I'm like, okay. So, I'm putting all this stuff in my pocket. So like my first pitch became, look, so, we specialize in high quality leads and we only advertise to your serviceable area. That way we know that they're actually more likely to come back and spend more money with you. The other thing that they said was they're paying so little, like it's hard to take them from this cheap of an offer to like a $2,000 package. So like instantly I like tripled the price of our offer. And I'm like, okay, we're tripling the price of our offer. That way we get better quality candidates in there. So anyways, I'm saying all these things that they want to hear. And then our competitors started saying that. So then me and Josh get real creative. We're like, okay, how do we crush these little just maggots out here trying to leech off of us? And we're like, okay, let's really break this down. We have these brainstorming meetings all the time. We're like, okay, look, what defines, like, everybody's charging monthly, everybody's, doing the same thing, everybody's using the same budget. We're like, what if we were to like charge in different increments? I'm like Josh brought this up, and he's amazing at positioning, by the way. Like, he brought this up and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, what defines a month? I'm like, 30 days. Like, I'm being a smart ass. Like, I'm like 30 days. Like, he's like, no. Like, what defines a month? Like, in terms of like, for our clients. And I'm like, really, like, just the budget. Like, if we put a month, like, we recommend this budget for a month. And there, he's like, right. And he's like, what if we took that same budget and we did it in like 20 days? And I'm like, interesting. He's like, because then essentially we could charge we just charge by the campaign, but our campaigns are 20 days. So it's like we can charge them the same price, but in a 20-day period and get them the same amount of results. So we did that. It worked. Clients liked it. But then we're like, what about 15 days? And same thing. We took the same month-long budget, did 15 days. And it worked. And I'm like, Josh, let's get crazy. Let's do 30 days of results in 10 days and see who can do this. And we did it. And it was crushing it. So then we have this new program. It's like our 30 days in 10. So it's like, hey, if you want to double or triple your body contouring business, we're actually doing a new promotion. We're getting you 30 days worth of results. And I'm not talking leads. I'm talking pre-paying body contouring patients in 30 days worth in 10 days. And now we're charging people like a retainer every 10 days. Some of them were doing it back to back to back, and we were charging 3 retainers in a month. So like, because our clients were, because our competitors were copying us, we reinvented ourselves. We're actually getting 3 times as much money they were trying to undercut us. Now we're getting 3 times as much money. Our clients are getting 3 times the results and getting like 3 years worth of business in, 1 year, the ones that are sticking with it, like the whole thing. So having an irresistible offer, and I hope that didn't go over a lot of people's heads, but like, that was the thing, is like, having an irresistible offer makes people ring your phone, because like when you're doing stuff that nobody's talking about, or like they haven't heard of, or because you're that different, they're going to call you and see what it's about. The other thing, like, I'm teaching all my salespeople, like, we got a few salespeople on the team now. It's like, I always tell, like, first thing I start off is like, look, do not sell anybody anything, educate them. And when you educate them on what we have to offer, what we do, they're going to make the conscious decision that they want it. Like the way that the sales call, quote unquote, should end is by them asking how you get started. Like if you have to ask for the sale, you never had the sale. So, so if the offer is good enough, people are going to ring your phone. Or if you send out an email, again, they're going to reply, want more info. Then you call and say, hey, you know, I just want to have a conversation, make sure this is a good fit for you. And it's conversational sales. Like, and we always frame it like, and this is another thing that's been big for me. Like somebody that's in Russell Brunson's inner circle is actually trying to pay us right now to train their salespeople because they love like this one thing that we did. And it's like every sales call, quote unquote, we jump on. First thing I do is like, hey, what's going on? It's Jeff with Plus Plus. Real quick, I just want to set the expectations for this call. Like, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm going to ask you a few questions, make sure that you're a good fit for our program. If so, I'll make you an offer. If you like it, we'll move forward. If not, no harm, no foul. Just tell me. I don't want to be that awkward silence at the end of the call. And, you know, we're not high pressure salespeople. And like doing that, it like deflates all the pressure, like from somebody feeling like it's a sales call. Then you tell them about your offer. And then because it's so different, that the last question is always going to be from them, how do I get started? And then once you get them started, the T stands for pretty much just turn them into a lifelong customer. And all that means is people are very like, I guess, desensitized to digital marketers. Like it's all the same stuff, man. Everybody's running a digital marketing agency from the closet. And if you're doing that exact thing, it's not a big deal. Like I was running a digital marketing agency from my grandma's couch in a basement. So, but like that's like how it is. And everybody's promising the same thing. Everybody onboards the exact same way. Everybody just crosses their fingers, hopes somebody gets results. So people are doing that, but we're different. So like when we sign somebody up, we got a series of automations that go out, and we're even sending them like handwritten cards saying, thanking them for a business. And that's all automated as well. But they're getting that. We're doing onboarding calls with our client success managers with their entire staff. Like we're making sure, you know, our staff's talking to them, they're complimenting them. They're, again, just making these people fall in love with us. And then we're checking in like 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and we're literally turning them into lifelong customers. But when you do that and they get such a good experience, the offer is that good and you didn't have to sell them, it's super easy to ask for the referral. It's super easy for more people to sign up. And then you just have this perpetual system of like your business growing without you having to do much prospecting, which is just, it's crazy to me, but that's how we built our business. We haven't run ads in all year. I think January we ran some ads, but we haven't ran ads since January. We still get clients on autopilot. Like it's insane.
That's amazing. And guys, super important what Jeff said. If you guys are getting value out of this, give us a thumbs or a heart on Facebook. Post your questions below. But I think it's super important what you said about listening to your clients and really taking note of what they like and don't like about your competitors and your own offer. And just, I mean, that's how you scale it really, really quickly because you're actually selling them what they want.
Yep.
And I think both of us have learned from Jeff Miller, who, love you, Jeff Miller, if you're watching this, big heart.
I gotta get one too, man. Yeah.
But he teaches, you need to read the book Ask by Ryan Levesque because it's super important. If you want to scale an irresistible offer, you have to ask your clients, what do you want and what don't you like and what do you need and how, you know, what are your goals? But that book tells you exactly what to ask your clients. Have you read that book, Jeff? Or
oh yes, that's an incredible book. So don't sleep on reading either. Read that damn book. Like if she says it, everybody's saying that, there's probably some gold to it. So read that book.
Do it. Reading is important. Cindy wants to know, when you say us, do you have a team or staff?
Yeah, so good question. So when I was saying us before, it was just me, but I still had this assistant. Like I would have like Lisa at whatever. And it was like, it was still me. Like, it was funny. Like I was just making it seem like I was bigger than I was. However, Lisa became a real person. That's actually like one of my friends I've known for a long time. And I like, you know, I started growing. I'm like, yo, help me out with this. Like, so it was like a us thing where she was helping me build this business. And then by August, like after I had that $100,000 month, that's when I started hiring people. So it was just like me for like a month or two. Then Lisa started helping out like here and there, like part-time. Like she, you know, she had her own like full-time job and everything. So she was helping out part-time and doing great at keeping up with it. And then by August, we were able to bring her full-time and then hire some more people. So us was me for a little minute, then it turned into one. And then now I have a team of like 11 people.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm laughing because I did the same thing. Actually, my fake front desk person was also named Lisa.
Didn't you get that from me? Didn't
Yeah.
you say I'll start saying Lisa too? Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like Jarvis,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and no shame, guys. Like if you want to look professional and have people take you seriously, and it's just you, like you make up a front desk person. Put it in your automations, put in your onboarding, and you can even make an email for them and forward it
Yeah,
to your.
for real. Do it.
Totally do it. Brian says getting tremendous value on this call. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Appreciate you.
He also said love the power partner idea.
Oh man, well I got something for y'all. If y'all love the power partner idea, I got some. I will talk about that toward the end if that's okay with you.
Yeah, for sure. And then do you think your mindset was key to scale so fast?
So absolutely, like to me, mindset is like the biggest thing in anything. So, and the way I like to look at it, and like I don't want this to come off like bragging at all, but like I went into like cell phone repair and accessories, like just like planning on being the biggest person to ever do it, and like not taking like no for an answer. Like also, just to give you a little background, like my dad went to prison like as soon as I learned how to drive, and like we went from like not having to worry about anything to like overnight, like I'm living with my grandpa, my 4 sisters, and like this little crappy house. No offense, anybody, but like so I like literally had to become a man like overnight, and like like working at like a regular job just wasn't like cutting it, like having to help out with like my family and stuff. So like whenever I went into anything else, it was like I had a lot of motivation. So I think like one mindset, and then like also finding your why, I think was that Simon Sinek has a book, but like really like defining your why and like your purpose for doing all this stuff. Like once you have that, like you will be able to achieve any and everything. And then also like the other thing that like I think is big to me, and like when I teach any of our high ticket students, they come in and they're like, oh, what about these guys in the competition and all? And like to me, man, I don't give a flip like what anybody else is doing. It's like I want to focus on me and making sure like my product is the absolute best. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care what anybody else is saying. I don't care if they say it can't be done. Like I'm the type that like I take that stuff and it's all fuel to me. Like I love to prove somebody wrong. And again, just by focusing on me and like my vision and like my business, I've been able to like just really cut out all that noise. And I think that's been tremendous in like helping me just achieve everything. Cause it's like when you don't let that stuff get to you, and when you have your like rock solid why and then like that vision, you're just looking at point B down the road, not the obstacles in front, like you're gonna end up getting there. So like mindset is critical. That's the best thing in anything.
So true, guys. Stay in your damn lane. Stay in your lane. And anytime I need a reminder of staying in my lane, I just call you, Jeff, and you're like, stay in your lane. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need to.
Yeah, I remember some of these calls. It's beneficial back and forth. You got me, I got you. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. Georgina says, how do you structure your offering? As in, do you offer any type of guarantees, and do you include ad spend in your monthly retainer? That's a great question.
Georgia, so I can't pronounce that. Chaliamanta. Anyways, that's some great questions. So structuring my offer is pretty easy. Again, like make sure you're asking people like on sales calls or like past clients, current clients. Like if you have a client, you lose them, follow up with them, see why they left and where they went to and why. Like, so we always find out about a competition, what was enticing for them to leave? What did we do wrong that, we can improve for the next time or for the next client? And like getting that feedback is critical. And then also on your sales calls, like when you're selling people, like the people that are hard to sell, they've probably been burnt before, but they're also going to give you like a lot of the best feedback. Like it's, in a relationship, you want to figure out what people did wrong to somebody so you don't do that. And again, so it's like asking what people don't like is like the biggest way to like structure an offer. And that's how we structure everything. Like I said, when clients said, oh, I've been burnt before, what does that mean? Low quality leads, they're too far away. Well, guess what? We do high quality leads because we charge 3 times more than what you're used to charging. That gives you a higher quality client in the door. We also only service we only run ads in your serviceable area, so that way they're not coming too far. And then they said, oh, I hate being locked into a contract. So shit, I threw the contract out the window. I'm like, yeah, we don't do contracts, we do results. And because we know if we get you results, you're going to want to renew. So again, everything they didn't like, guess what? We're like that knight in shining armor that comes by and is like, oh yeah, we do all that different. Like we got you. Now, is a guarantee? We don't offer guarantees. Like, especially like this day and age, there's no guarantees. And like I always tell people that too. Like clients always ask that because they're used to guarantees. And I tell them like, guarantees, like we don't do guarantees because there's no one size fits all. Like, digital marketing is not a cookie cutter solution. Like we don't, there's no telling what's in your area. There's no telling, what Facebook, Apple, whatever updates are going to come out that may have like impact your results. But we tell them, we guarantee if you follow our system, you're going to get good results, but we don't offer any like minimums or anything like that, because that stuff fluctuates. And like, nobody can predict those types of, maybe you got the pandemic, there's all kinds of stuff that, outside variables that will influence that. So as soon as we went away from guarantees, we had people also that just didn't focus on that. Because when you give guarantees, we had those clients that like, that's all they're looking at. It's like, hey, you got, 30, whatever leads, we got some booked appointments. They're like, oh yeah, but we, it's not looking like we're going to hit our guarantee. And it's like, they're paying attention to the wrong stuff. It's like, man, we know you ain't going to do anything with this because like you're focused on the wrong thing. So as soon as you get rid of the guarantees, you get the people that are actually like, more willing to like be open-minded about your program and actually exercise your program in the way that it's intended. And they end up getting better results. So F the guarantee. Also, we used to include an ad spend in our retainers. That's something that has changed after the whole pandemic, because, that, and then, ad spend went, it was a lot better at first because everybody was like pulling back on ads. Now everybody's advertising digitally, so ad spend's not going as far. And then also it's a new selling point of ours. So it's like, hey, you pay us just a management fee and we will run your ads and you can spend, here's what we recommend, but we have clients that are spending 5 times as much. Like if you can handle the business, we can scale up your ad spend at any point. But again, like we never end up, having to foot the bill, or like, let's just say if we had a static ad spend that we're paying, iOS 14 comes and knocks down conversions, 60%, like, and we're not getting good results. They think we're not doing our job. We're just saying, hey, now it's like you pay your own ad spend. Here's what's going on. Here's the conditions that are affecting it. We recommend this to combat that. And like, they like that better. It also, when they're cutting you a check each month and they're paying ad spend directly to Facebook, you don't seem like as big of an expense. So we do not include ad spend anymore.
That's genius. I love that.
Thank you.
Very cool. Corwin says, how do you determine ad spend?
Corwin, I don't know what industry are you in? But typically, like any of our industries, minimum $600 a month, so $20 a day. But honestly, like for our clients, we know body contouring with $1,000 gets us really great results. So we always recommend $1,000 to start. Here's another pro tip. So this is like something new that we've been doing. When you talk to a client or like your clients, they need to understand that like the goal of advertising or any good, I guess, like, advertising campaign is to break even or make, med spa. Okay. Yeah. Med spa, man, like, 600 bare minimum, but 800 to 1,000 for med spas is like a good sweet spot. Cause we're seeing any like CPLs anywhere from like, some of our clients are like $3. That's like very like unicornish, but like $6 to $10 like CPLs is what we're seeing. So we know if we spend $1,000, we can get about 100 leads, about 30 to 40 people are actually going to like book that appointment. So I recommend 800 to 1,000 if you're doing med spas, but, we have clients spending $5,000 and they're making 14 grand just on the front end offer. So again, like it really depends on the industry, but what you need to explain to these clients is the goal of any good advertising or marketing campaign is to be able to put $1 in and at least bare minimum get your dollar back out. So that even means like if I spend $1,000 with you, or let's just say I spend $3,000 with you, I want to be able to get at least my money back. Now, anytime I can put $1 in and get even $1.25 out, like I'm going to keep putting $1 in. And like, if I put 100 grand in, that means I'm making 25 grand on that. And I'm going to keep doing that until the end of time. Now, if it's more than that, like our average is 3X what they're paying us. So meaning if they spend 3K, they're getting 9K. And we've been explaining it to them now is like, hey, our goal is to make sure you're making more money than you're spending with us. And as long as that's working, we really recommend going up every single month until this just does not work anymore. And a perfect case example is the first person we told that to, we were spending 1,000 in ads. Then it went to 2,000. He's up to 5,000 now. And he's approaching $100,000 a month with us. Like we will have increased his business. If he can maintain this, we'll have made him $1 million like extra in a year. So when they understand that, like as long as it's working, you just want to keep putting more money into it. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are like, oh, you guys keep, I keep spending more on ads. I'm spending too much money. It's like, okay, well, you need to know your numbers. Like for every $1,000, I know that you're getting 30 people in there. You're making this much on the front end. And if you suck at selling, you're going to close 10 to 20% of those. You're still profitable. So like, as long as they know their numbers and you stay on top of that, you can tell them to keep spending more and more and more. And that's how it works. Like, this is a pay to play game. It's not like a static charge. Oh, $3,000 a month. And my business is just going to keep going up and up and up. No, it's like, if it starts working, keep spending more, you're going to keep making more. So it's like, if they understand that, that's another reason we really like just the management fee, because we can increase their ad spend as much as we want to, as long as it's working.
Yeah, very cool. And don't you have or do you still offer the calculator in your program, or?
I do, yeah. So I'll find that link and I'll drop it in here later today if you guys want. On
Facebook?
Yeah. On Facebook, yeah. So
you guys have to be in my Facebook group, Marketing Agency Automation Secrets, to get that. Cool. Yeah, I remember your calculator was like amazing. You had this spreadsheet and it showed them like their ROI just by hiring you.
I forgot about that thing. I want to update that for like the retainer model that we have now. But so this calculator though, I'll put that in Christine's group. So if you guys are not in the group, you need to get in there because this is straight fire. But I'm gonna put that in there later today. This calculator is cool because it's a spreadsheet, and like I've used this on sales calls before. Now I just do phone sales calls. I don't like doing Zoom, but like when I was hopping on Zooms, I would input these numbers and I would just talk to the client and be like, hey, okay, what are you charging for this? What are you charging for this? How good are you at sales? And then like they always overestimate themselves. So I'll put in a lower number, but basically it tells you how much they're spending with you and how much you're going to make them back. And these are like very conservative like estimates. So at the end of the call, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, based on what you're telling me, and if we really suck at our job, you're still going to make this much more than you're paying us. Like, so are you okay with even that? Because if anything else is like, if it's above that, you're probably gonna be really happy. So are you okay with making this much more money than you're paying us? And it's always like a no-brainer at the end of this call. And it's like selling with logic rather than, hopes and dreams. It's like, if you put in real numbers that come from their mouth, like it's really hard for them to say no, because they've given you all the ammo you need to sell them.
Right. And that kind of perfectly answered this question.
Baseline setup and management fees. So ours in particular, like for our main agency, we charge $22.97 a month for a management fee. We have $1,000 setup fee, but to be honest, like part of our promo that we always do is like we waive that if they take action within the first 24 hours, which typically always happens. Like if you give me 9 sales calls, I'll close 10 people. I know that don't make sense, but I'll probably get a referral off one of them. But anyways, like we'll give them $1,000 off to take action right away. Your face. We'll get them to take action by saying we're going to waive the setup fee. So we typically don't charge people setup fees anyways.
Very cool. That's awesome. Renaissance Digital Marketing says, interesting point about guarantees. I was thinking about using one to get a new client, but now that I think about it more, it doesn't make sense and can result in losing clients.
Yeah. And like I said, so one thing I've been known to say, and if you guys can't tell, like sometimes I'm a little bit of a smart ass, sometimes I'm a little bit cocky, but sometimes like cocky and confidence come off really good on calls. So if you do it right, don't do this and like derail a sales call, come yell at me. But sometimes they'll ask about a guarantee. Is like, look, I can't guarantee that the sun's going to shine tomorrow. It's the same thing with digital marketing. Like, the one thing I can tell you is it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. Like I have a lot of tools in our tool belt, and we're going to keep moving that Rubik's Cube until everything lines up and works how we want it to. But I can't make any guarantees because I don't know, the conditions that might happen that might impact sales. But again, like the other thing I've been known to say is like, I remember when I used to offer guarantees, like when I wasn't confident in our abilities, like that's when we used to offer guarantees too, like, or when we were little guys too. And like, they always laugh because I'm always like, basically putting down these other agencies that are offering these guarantees. It's like, oh yeah, I remember when we were first starting out and offered guarantees as well. But to be honest, like we really can't guarantee anything. I guarantee if you use our system how it's intended, you're going to get great results. And I got people you can call if you want to, if you want to hear about how they're doing with it. And again, just like that confidence, I'm telling you, it's way better than any guarantee. And then also like people all the time tell me like, man, like I love like your honesty, or I love how like real you're being with me. Cause again, like, any good salesperson or any good business, like we've kind of flipped it. Like when I was first starting out, it was like, man, I'm trying to get off this couch. I need any and everything. Shit, let me give you a discount. Oh, my language. I was doing so good. But anyways, I'm like, let me give you a little discount. Let's do this. Oh, you want me to rub your back? You know, also you would do whatever you could just to get that client or keep that client. But now it's like we do we do way more disqualifying than we do qualifying, because we understand that like if we take the wrong clients, like that's a headache for us. You'll see a different side of me that just like puts the whole team on edge. And it's like, we just make sure that we just don't hire or like, you know, work with those people. And you notice I said hire, like that's really what it feels like. It feels like we're hiring somebody, and it's like we have to interview them to make sure that they're a good candidate for us. And like we always set that expectation is like, look, we want to make sure this is going to be a good fit for us. And we've turned people down because we feel like they're going to be too needy. And like those people always like, we call them time vampires. They'll take all your time, they'll suck the life from you, and just it'll just be way more drama than it's worth. So again, we're always looking to disqualify somebody rather than like take anybody we can. We're looking for reasons that we don't want to work with them to where they got to prove themselves to us. So when you get to that point in your business, that's when you're really going to start making some leaps and bounds, is like when you start, you know, focusing on disqualifying people and not working with those needy ones.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. That's so important. I can't tell you how much of my time I wasted in the beginning on those vampire clients, man. They won't.
Everybody does it. I get it. Like, especially like when you're new to the game, like for instance, you're trying to get out of your job, your 9 to 5. It's not bad. And I think it's probably good to experience that. But again, when you make that mindset shift to like, I only want to work with these types of clients, you set that criteria and you stick with it, like watch your quality of life change, not just your business, like your quality of life. You're going to wake up with a smile on your damn face every morning, like just ready to work with these clients. It's an amazing thing.
Yep. I remember when you had one of those vampire clients.
Gary? You talking about Gary?
Well, no. The other one who emailed me and asked me if I could reverse engineer your HighLevel.
He got a cease and desist that like the next day. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if he's still around. Yeah.
I think you said he was like living in his car or something. I don't even.
Literally, when we hired that client, this is a good example of one. This guy's in California, Los Alamos, I'm pretty sure it was. I know exactly. Amazing. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. But I remember I was eating in Houston. I remember where I was at. I remember the table I was sitting at. You called me like, yo, do you know this guy? And this guy literally had emailed us like, hey, I'm working with Plus Plus. I want to know if you can like recreate their thing and we can like, you know, do something. And I'm like, this man.
And I knew it was you because he sent me a screenshot of your snapshot, and I knew it was your snapshot. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, he must think I don't know you or something.
He must not know must not know that I'm known out here. You can't get away from me.
It was literally the shadiest thing. So if you're watching, shame on you.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching, I hope frame that beautiful piece of paper that our lawyers sent you. Yeah. Frame that.
Oh man. Well, I want to make sure we have enough time to talk about, we're getting a lot of questions, Jeff, about sales and cold calling in your offer. So if they want to find out more and learn more from you, how do they do that? Okay.
So I got this new Facebook group and it's called Agency Sales Secrets. I'll drop a link in here, but it's facebook.com/groups/stop competing, all one word, because we don't compete. We just dominate around here. So if you want to learn anything about sales and growing your agency, especially utilizing power partners, join that group because I'm actually dropping. I just recorded a webinar training. And I gave the game out in this. Like I show you exactly how I generated $242,798 in 6 months, like as a newbie agency owner. Like I can't stress that enough. Like I had no clue what I was doing and still did that. So imagine if I knew what I was doing, I'd probably be up there with Jeff Bezos right now. Probably not, but you know, that's what it feels like. So anyways, join Agency Sales Secrets. I'll drop the link in here. Also, when I drop the calculator later today, I'll make sure you guys have that. But just get in my Facebook group because when we hit 100 members, which I think we're 25 away, it's a brand new group. But when we hit 100 members, I have a ton of content that I'm going to be dropping in there. And I guarantee I will, like the way I teach you to sell, you'll never feel like you're selling again, and you'll close 10, 100 times more than like you ever thought you were capable of. Like we have some crazy testimonials in there about people working with some just big power partners. So get in that group. It'll be the best decision other than joining Christine's group, of course.
Right.
Those are two best decisions you'll ever make with your life. I promise you.
You need systems and you need sales. So both groups.
Yeah, that's it. That's tag team Shaq and Kobe right here. So.
And you said it's facebook.com/stop.
Yeah. Well, you got to do facebook.com/groups/stop competing. But again, can you put it in the YouTube description when it's on YouTube?
Yes, I can. I'll put it in the description because if I put it in the live comments, it disappears.
Okay, cool. So we'll get it in the description. We'll also get it in Christine's group. So another great advantage of joining Christine's group, you get to see me talking all this crazy mess, and you get to see the link to our group too. And there's the only 2 groups you need. I promise I'll teach you how to get to 10, 30, 50, 100K a month, like easy.
Awesome, Jeff. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for coming and dropping knowledge bombs. If you guys found value in this, give us a like, give us a heart, give us a subscribe, and go check Jeff's group out. I'll put the link in the description below. And
that's it. And I appreciate you again. I can't say it enough. And props to you, Miss High Level Queen, because I've seen how far you come. I need to turn around and interview you back in that group too. I know we interviewed you in the other group. I need to get you in the other one as well. So
heck yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're a beast.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys soon. Plus.
Yeah.